Hi everyone, welcome to Medical Microbiology. So today we will continue chapter 4. This is going to be the last lecture of chapter 4, structure of bacterial or prokaryotic cell. So today we're going to discuss about the shell shapes, arrangement, the size, and also classification of bacteria. Shell shape, arrangement, and size. Remember when we talk about shape, shell shape over here is actually cell. Okay, so this is for cell, which is we have to see them under the microscope. Don't be confused with the colony shape, because colony shape we able to see them with our naked eyes, which is we see the colony shape on the culture media, on the petri dish. Okay, when you have a bacteria growing on the petri dish, then you will be able to see the colony, and that colony also have shape and size, color, and etc. But today we're going to learn about cell shapes, which is we have to see it under the microscope, because we cannot see the bacterial cell without the microscope. So by using the microscope, then we should be able to see the three main type of shell shapes. The first one is called coccus. Okay, coccus bacteria is mean round or spherical bacteria. Okay, like this one over here. This is a coccus bacteria. And if you see, sometimes they also join together. So many cell, okay, they bind together to make this group of cell. Right? But each individual cell over here has round shape. So this is what we call the coccus bacteria. The second one is called bacillus. Bacillus means rod. Okay, it look like a rod. Like this one is a bacillus bacteria. Over here is rod. Okay, this is under microscope how it look like. Okay, this is the bacillus bacteria. Sometimes they're also grouping together. Sometimes one by one. But again, each individual cell will have rod shape. And this is what we call the bacillus bacteria. The next one, the third one, is called the spirillum, which is kind of twisted or a spiral bacteria. Okay, like this over here. You see that this is like a spiral. This is twisted spiral also. So this group over here is called the spirillum bacteria. Okay, spirillum bacteria. But there are also some bacteria that their shape is between one of these three main shape. Okay, like for example, between spirum, okay, spirillum and rod, there will be like coma bacteria over here. Okay, it's called the Fimbrio. So between spiral and bacillus. Sometimes between round and bacillus, there is kind of oval bacteria. Okay, so again, there are three main shapes of bacterial cell: coccus, bacillus, and spirillum. Between them, there are other kind of shape like coma shape, yeah, oval shape. Okay, the arrangement, as you see before under the microscope, sometimes coccus bacteria they are just single, so just one. Individual bacteria separated one, or sometimes they combine become two. It's called a diplo. D mean two, So it's going to be Diplococcus bacteria. Or maybe making like a chain bacteria over here. Okay, that chain bacteria, this one over here, is called strepto. Okay, so if you see streptobacillus or streptococcus bacteria, the one that causing the strep throat. Okay, so this is it has the arrangement like chain. So streptobacillus. Sometimes they make four. Okay, it's called a tetrad like this. Or sometimes it's make cubicle. It's called a sarcina. Okay, this is sarcina bacteria. Sometimes it's make irregular cluster. Like this. So the irregular cluster is called staphylo. Okay, so if you heard about Staphylococcus bacteria, Staphylococcus aureus, for example, that bacteria has round shape with arrangement of cluster, like bacteria that live in our skin, Streptococcus aureus. It has a cluster arrangement. And then the same thing with the bacillus bacteria, maybe Diplobacillus, which is two rod bacteria, or maybe Streptobacillus. It has long chain of bacillus bacteria, or palisade. This again, this is going to be called Streptobacillus. Palisade is look like fence. Okay, like they range like this. So this is individual bacillus bacteria that combine together to make like a fence. Okay. Now the size. Bacteria is really small. We cannot see them without microscope. Now we compare the size. Let's say this is our hair. So you can see your own hair, right? It's very, with your naked eyes. But this is over here. This is other group of organism. Like pollen, maybe you can see it. Lymphocyte. And this is white blood cell, really small. Actually, you have to see it under microscope. This is yeast, which is fungi, which is smaller than our white blood cell, the lymphocyte. This is red blood cell over here. It's also a little bit bigger than the yeast. And then this is bacteria over here. Okay. So that's the reason one bacteria sometimes able to enter our cell because they are really, really small. So when we make it bigger, then this is one of the biggest bacteria, the E. coli. Okay, but even though this is the biggest cell, but still we unable to see this bacteria with our naked eyes. Right? This is Staphylococcus bacteria. Right? With each of these individual is in round, is coccus bacteria. This is virus. Virus is really, really small. Most of the time we will not be able to see them using the light microscope. We need the electron microscope to see these viruses. Okay, so this is the kind of comparison between size of several microorganisms. Yeast or fungi is bigger than bacteria is smaller, and virus are really, really small. No classification. Okay, for the classification, there are several characteristic that we use to classify bacteria. First, microscopic morphology, which is using the microscope. So this one, we can say what is the cell shape? Maybe coccus, bacillus, okay, or maybe spirillum bacteria. Okay? Microscopic. This is the one that we see with our naked eyes, colony. Maybe colony like round or circular. Okay. Maybe the color yellow, tan color, for example. Okay. So this is the one that we see with our own eyes, our naked eyes, the colony of bacteria. So this colony means it has million of bacteria that make this colony. So colony consists of million of bacteria. Therefore, we can see using our naked eyes. The bacterial physiology, okay, and also using the serological analysis, using the antigen antibodies complex, okay, reaction, and check their DNA, the genetic, yeah, maybe using the PCR, for example. Then from that, okay, the book that the classification that use for bacteria, the most famous one is using this, what we call the Berg's manual of bacterial taxonomy or classification. Again, when we talk about the classification for bacteria, it included in a group of archaea or bacteria. Remember, archaea is bacteria that live in extreme environment. Maybe in hot spring water, very salty water, for example, or very salty environment. This is archaea. So most of the archaea will be free living. Okay. And the second domain will be bacteria. This is regular bacteria. Some of them may be free living, maybe parasite, okay, or causing disease to us, sometimes also known as pathogenic bacteria. Okay, so some of them may be causing disease to human, other animals, plants, etc. So this is the second domain. Okay. Remember, there are three domains: archaea, bacteria, and eukarya. So other organisms will be included in the eukarya, okay, including animals, plants, algae, fungi, protozoa will be in eukarya domain. Okay, so this is the kind of summary of classification of organism. So this is the whole organism in this world will be classified into this group. Again, the first domain is archaea. Okay, archaea will be consist of these free living bacteria that live in the extreme, okay, extreme environment. Okay, and then the second group will be bacteria that consists of this phylum. Okay, so many of them, some of them free living, some of them causing disease or pathogenic. And then, okay, this is the first domain, this is the second domain, and this is the third domain. which is eukarya. And eukarya will consist of protozoa and algae. Okay, this one is called, both of them is called protists. Okay, so this is the protists, and then plant, okay, animals and fungi. Okay, slime mold is also between kind of fungi, animals, and plants. So they all have real nucleus. So this one have nucleus. These two no nucleus. Okay, so this is just a summary of this classification. We will learn this more on the next chapters. Okay? Like for example, for fungi will be in chapter 22. Then worms like animals, it will be in chapter 23. Okay, protozoa and algae. I believe this is also in chapter 23. Okay, protozoa, algae, animals, or worms in chapter 23. And bacteria classification will be mostly in chapter 18, 19, 20, and 21. So we will learn this later. Okay, so right now it's just kind of introduction of this classification. And I think it is done. So chapter 4, we finished chapter 4. We will continue with chapter 5 on the next lecture. Goodbye.